Many people will say the opposite of work is play, but it's not. It's probably you being depressed somewhere, dreading to come to work.
Hilda is AI. The reason we introduced Hilda was one of the reasons that having Gen Zs in the workplace, people want things to move, people want things instantly. How best can we interact with our stakeholders, especially we as HR? But our strive was to create a lot of visibility, but also engagement.
When it comes to purpose, one thing learned is that a person is not going to buy into your organization's purpose if they don't understand what their purpose is. Like I said from the beginning, if I am Lilian, I am a cleaner, I am at the front desk. What is my contribution to this transformation? How do I feed into this vision that this organization is trying? So these are questions that we keep challenging our transformers.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining our monthly webinar series hosted by Agile Media Africa. And I am your host, the CEO and founder of Agile Media Africa. Today's topic is going to be cultivating employee engagement through gamification. Now, this is quite an interesting topic because last week, Betty and I had a seminar with the business network professionals where we were being taken through HR and leadership administration. But it was quite interesting to find out all these things leaders, managers take for granted, but are very pivotal in shaping the organization, that are very helpful to engage your staff, prompt your staff to perform better so you achieve the company's goals or objectives. And today we have the right professionals to be taking us through this conversation. So first off, if you will allow me introduce our speakers. Miss Lilian Mutesi. She is the Chief People and Culture Officer at Next Media. And we have said it here before, we keep saying it. When you get to Next Media, everyone is so happy to serve. You walk in and everybody is asking, have you been served? That only speaks to the leadership, and we are yet to hear about it. Miss Lilian is a trailblazer in creating inclusive and performance-driven work cultures. She'll be sharing her experience integrating gamified systems into daily operations and how aligning those with company values can drive long-term employee engagement. So Miss Lilian, welcome. I will also introduce Miss Irene Nayera. She will be sharing with us her extensive experience in talent development and employee well-being. She'll also explore how gamification is recognized, what are the programs, and also what are the celebrated milestones, and how can we also drive retention and loyalty. We also have Miss Betty Kkayo, Marketing Manager of Agile Media Africa. She normally comes on here and wraps up the conversation. Welcome, Miss Betty. She'll be reflecting on today's key takeaways and also offer more insightful points on how gamification can also enhance internal communications, since we are a communications strategic agency, and participation in company-wide initiatives. We were starting the seminar that I talked about. The gentleman asked, what is the most important thing in a company? And people said, people. And then he's like, that's just a cliche answer. Do you really mean it? So I'm so excited to be hearing from you, Lilian.
Thank you very much, Aggie. And yes, that answer was correct. People is the most important thing in any business or in any organization, because without people, nothing can get done. At Next Media, as the people and culture lead, personally, I'm very passionate about building work culture where people feel seen, challenged, and they're excited to show up every day. And it may not be something that I do by myself, but it's a culture where when I come to work, it's not that feeling of, oh, it's Monday again. So we don't want to be those memes of, oh my God, it's Monday again. So we've been very intentional in our journey about creating a dynamic workforce, because our workforce is very youth-driven. So we try to encourage a lot of innovation and engagement. They're not just buzzwords, they're things that we operate with every day. If you've been to Next Media, you will know that our workforce is mainly Gen Zs and millennials. Most of these people, it's not just about the paycheck. They crave purpose, they want feedback, they want autonomy, they want a place where they feel like it's not work, it's fun to come here. It's a place I'm happy to come to. It may not be your home, but it's a place you're happy to come to. And for the older generation, work was always something that, work, oh my God, I have to pay the bills, I have to do this. Yes, we still have those responsibilities, but how do we integrate work and play? And that's where gamification comes in. Many people will say the opposite of work is play, but it's not. It's probably you being depressed somewhere, dreading to come to work. With gamification and where the workforce is going to, it's us saying, how do we integrate work to make it more exciting?
Lilian, you make it sound easy, but paint a vivid picture, because on social media, it's always fun watching your teams working together, having a party. What do you mean? What kind of gamification do you apply? Or what does it mean for someone who doesn't understand this?
If you ask what gamification is in the workplace, it's basically applying game elements in day-to-day work. Town halls, what we call the next media talks. You will say who is organizing them, then you say this group of people. So this department organized this time. Now it is us. How are we doing it better? How are we making it more exciting? As time goes by, things will be more digital, and you'll have things like leaderboards, you'll have badges and all that. But I think for any organization, you just need to start with where you are at and what your pain points are. When we started out the journey of building our culture, it was an issue of, we are now 300 from different organizations, different upbringings, but now how do we root to all our people to think the same way, to know that this transformation journey that we are on, we are all part of it, whether it's from the CEO to the cleaner who is outsourced. What is my role in this transformation journey? I may not be the one that appears on TV and gives you the news or what, but how am I supporting those people? So it's an issue of bringing day-to-day activities. That was one of them. The other thing would be trainings. Something as easy as training. Instead of me coming here and I call you guys, I'm like, hey, guys, trainings, what? Everyone come and sit in one room. But when you put these things in a way that I can do these trainings at my own pace, at a time I'm available, because we are a 24-hour business. So me putting all of you in one room may not work for you. You may have a client meeting, breaking news, but these things are put on our portals. So we do, and then it's an issue of so and so has finished, this one has not. This department is more cooperative. Now they start to rally themselves up like, guys, it's us who have not done it. Simple things like that. I know I still have a long way to go integrating gamification. We decided to start where we're and work within our problems we want to achieve and make sure that our people get done. So you'll find that people are more motivated and productive when they get to do those things instead of having a set rules and what have you. There's a research from Gallup, an employment survey research from 2013 that shows that 13% of staff in most organizations are fully engaged and committed and very dedicated to contributing positively. But 63% of staff are very unmotivated, not in a bad way, but for them, they are going with the flow. And those ones are the ones you need to be like, these guys need to get to 13%. How do we get them excited? They're not necessarily bad employees or bad people, but they're just going with the flow. That 24% are actively disengaged. And those are where your problem is, because those ones stand the chance of affecting the others. So how do you bring this gamification or this idea that if we do it this way, it's going to be more fun, it's going to have us more involved and bring the engagement up forward for transformers, like you would put it. If you have any particular questions I could address. In a nutshell, those are a few of the things that we have done so far, and we have a lot more that we plan to do in the future with the ever-changing technology and AI. How do you make this more exciting? We keep doing constant reorientations, and the initial onboarding has to be face-to-face, but the ones that we keep doing as refreshers on the internet and have people do them at their own pace, also trying to understand what the policies are and things like that.
I think that has been very insightful. We can clearly see how energized and positive the teams are. I'm not sure we see those a bit demotivated to work, but you meet staff, they are always motivated, fun, loving, which a lot of leaders want, like you said, if there's one bad tomato, they'll spoil the others. But if everybody's speaking off the same hymn sheet, then we see a bit of transformation that you've also seen from 300 to 500. Those are interesting insights. Allow me call in Miss Irene at the moment, and then we'll circle back with a few questions.
Thank you for inviting me to share in this space. And nice to meet you, Lilian. Thank you for sharing very inspirational insights right there. I'll introduce myself a little bit. I'm an organizational psychologist. Like I said, currently I work with HIMA. I'm the organization and HR director there. Most recently for 2024, I managed to win the award for HR Trendsetter for the year. Thank you. And before that, I did win the HR Digitalized Personnel of the Year as well for 2023 in the HR fraternity, as well as other accolades, like I got an opportunity to win the UNDP Global Equality Seal and Gold for Manufacturing. Most recently, I brought home one of the prestigious ESG award because I also double hat as the sustainability champion. But listening into Lilian and her sharing her experience, especially working with Gen Zs, of course, brought me back home, and especially in the kind of field that I work in, I've worked largely with manufacturing. In here, it's quite interesting, at the same time difficult, because then people working with machines, how do you create the excitement and as well the commitment and engagement? Gamification becomes a very interesting topic, but also as a driver and tool that we can use to actually inspire and motivate employees to actually deliver more. I will speak into one of the tools that I had an opportunity to introduce, and she's called Hilda. I don't know whether anybody on the forum has heard about Hilda. Hilda is AI. The reason we introduced Hilda was one of the reasons that having Gen Zs in the workplace, people want things to move, people want things instantly. How best can we interact with our stakeholders, especially we as HR? But our strive was to create a lot of visibility, but also engagement. And so through technology, we introduced Hilda, an HR assistant available 24/7, and she is available in people's palms. They talk to her. You can chat with Hilda anytime about either policies, processes, and through Hilda, we're able to actually also host other departments onto our HR platform where people are able to interact. Coming back to gamification, it gave us an opportunity to serve our clients quickly, but not only do that, create a lot of engagement across functions, because then we created an interactive function through Hilda, as well as receive instant feedback, which is the other desire that gamification brings to HR. We have the induction module loaded onto Hilda that certainly gets us into the narrative storytelling, embedding all this into our structure in terms of orienting people into the business, other than people sitting into a room and listening to a story after another. People can listen into the business vision, the missions from different business leaders. And Hilda gave us the opportunity to do that. So those are some strategies we've done. And just to share with you in terms of how this has supported, we had an opportunity to improve our employee engagement levels by a double digit, if I could share just most recently, where we had challenges, people complaining about various issues, but through different initiatives, I've talked about Hilda, also building a transformative culture, which we called Ignite. I will be able to share with you a little bit more detail, where we conducted a blueprint audit to understand what we're not doing right, that we needed to do right from our employees. we did receive this feedback. We designed a very engaging and high performance culture for our staff. We named Ignite. It was one of the biggest fires that we've ever had across the organization. And when we did that, we were able to see a big transition in terms of performance. And I would like to share that the organization was recognized as one of the top 6 globally because of some initiatives we had done. I believe when leaders pay attention to the business and design initiatives through these tools, it becomes very easy for employees to be very receptive with this feedback, as well as work with the leaders to design a high performance environment, not only for the business, but something that is also going to take the employees forward. I also wanted to highlight how this builds into retention. It is every business desire to have people stay and work for them, especially if they have invested, trained them, built them from scratch for them to stay and work for the organization. And so most recently, we went into a study to not only retain talent that we have, but also study the attributes that make the good people the best that we have. So that at the point of attraction, we design packages that are able to attract those kinds of people from the word go, but also study those that have not been very successful working with us, so that we are able to detect and say, you know what, when a person displays these kinds of attributes and characteristics, we know that that is not going to be a good fit, and we can sort of stay away in terms of recruiting and having them fit into the family. Again, in terms of using these tools that we're talking about today, I believe when you pay attention, you're able to do much more, not only for the organization, but also helping the individuals grow and perform better so that they can achieve their purpose for which they are set up to certainly satisfy themselves into the world of employment and all. Briefly, that is what I wanted to share, and I will still hand back to you now. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Irene. That was quite real because you mentioned a few things any leader is going to think about. Retention is a big deal, but also it's exciting to hear about Hilda. Think about so many people's pain points, especially if they are a small team. It's such a lean team, or they wear all the hats in the organization. So if you can have Hilda 24/7 engaged, they can orient for you. Where are we going with this technology? At least for us, we consider it exciting, and we'll try to leverage that. Congratulations upon your so many accolades. It only goes to say that you are even willing to come and share this with us. We feel honored. I would love to call upon Betty before the Q&A.
I'll talk about gamification in internal communication specifically. Like you mentioned, we're mainly a communications company. So a lot of the times we look at these things from a communications perspective. There's HR, and in different organizations, the HR might handle internal communications, but in other organizations, you find that there's a separate head of internal comms in the communications department. So communications and HR usually have to work together. Gamifications in internal communications, I think just using the game elements to communicate various aspects of the organizations and getting people engaged. Communications is one of the most powerful ways of getting people engaged, or whether people understand or whether people don't. So one of the ways is encouraging participation in company updates. Irene mentions a key element with Hilda, where Hilda helps get employees engaged in company policy and what is happening. A lot of internal communicators find traditional updates often go unread or unnoticed by employees. For example, HR or the head of internal comms will send 1 million newsletters, and they'll find that a lot of employees are not reading them or engaging with them. So what's the gamified solution? To introduce maybe point-based systems where employees can earn points or awards for opening newsletters or completing quizzes or surveys. This can encourage participation. It increases readership and comprehension of company information, especially if it's tied to maybe rankings or small rewards. For example, recognition or maybe end of the year vouchers for people who complete surveys or quizzes. And another aspect I looked at was maybe sparking idea generation and innovation. So this is usually in big organizations where employees might feel hesitant to share ideas, maybe due to hierarchies or lack of motivation or fear of judgment. A gamified solution could be creating an innovation hub where employees can submit ideas and then badges for creativity and certificates for the most innovative idea. This drives a culture of innovation and helps with psychological safety for the employees if there's an innovation hub where they feel that they can be heard and where they feel that their ideas can be accepted. And another aspect I looked at was improving knowledge sharing and training using gamified systems. I know a lot of organizations have e-learning, but usually the uptake of this is low. So a gamified solution could be using learning modules that reward users. For example, certifications upon completion, users can find it useful to actually participate in the knowledge sharing. And the impact of this could be increased uptake and retention of training morale. That's it for internal comms. I'll quickly talk about some key takeaways from the presentations. My key takeaway from Lilian's point is people are the most important aspect of any organization, especially with Next Media, which is youth-driven. I think also a very interesting point is that for using gamifications for Gen Zs grew up using tech anyway. So using apps and using all these games is usually the right strategy to go for them. Also, Gen Zs usually appreciate instant gratification. So most of them are not actually motivated by money. They're motivated by a fun workplace. They're motivated by recognition. And also for the mental health, there's a lot of conversation about mental health in organizations that choose gamified systems. The mental health aspect is usually tackled because it creates more engagement, which helps with the mental engagement of employees in our workplace. We talked about this innovative solution called Hilda. But I think a question that I would just pose to Hilda is, how do you ensure that all employees are engaging with AI tool like Hilda, especially since you're working with manufacturers as well, different employees from top to bottom, and also understanding that not all employees have the same technical skill? How do you get all of them engaged with an AI tool?
Thank you for the question. We do check in on utilization rates for Hilda, so we generate a report. What I didn't tell you is that because of the Hilda initiative, we cut headcount in HR, which you could say is bad or good for both the organization, but it also gave us an opportunity to focus on key strategic areas in HR and not necessarily the operational issues. So we do look at the utilization reports, and then we are able to see the frequency of visiting, but also in terms of responses, because then people are able to ask questions. In case Hilda can't answer, there's an opportunity or button for them to raise a ticket with HR. And when it goes to first level and first level has not responded, it escalates to the next level. The interaction is certainly monitored. We see the backflow of information, and then we are always looking forward to actually reactivate the energy on Hilda, because Hilda then sends out birthday messages, anniversary notices to create a little bit of excitement. We do one-on-ones on it. Then you're able to do quick communication and short-term surveys, those kinds of things. So the interaction level is quite high. Then you're able to see the traction. And if it's low or high, you're able to understand the season and reactivate the energy.
Well, brilliant. Thank you, Ms. Irene. I really like the insights from Betty, especially the analogy with innovation in organizations. I feel like you used the example for Next Media, because with all the creatives they also have this Afro mobile app where the creatives are also encouraged to put the content on there. And since they're in the business of creating content, so that is beautiful. Now, since we don't have any questions or any other participants, now we're going to bounce off each other, Miss Lilian and Miss Irene. If there's something Irene said, please inform of giving feedback or something that really impressed you about the work, or it could be something you've actually forgotten to share about your work at Next Media. And then Irene will be the same if there's something Miss Lilian talked about, or if there's something you had forgotten to share about the work you're doing, that is highly welcome. And Miss Betty will give us key takeaways. Miss Lilian?
I love the idea of Hilda. It will save me a lot of time in questions and meetings in trying to make the department more efficient. Engagement is very important, especially when it comes to people, because it's emotions involved, it's here and there, and much as AI is not going to replace everything, but at least for some issues It's
You can,
things
yeah.
that
It's like
adapt.
somebody asking you all the time, how many leave days? The
What
same
happens
question.
if I think it helps with the
Yeah.
no-brainer things that can easily be answered. You only get to engage on issues that actually need you to have the
Yeah.
engagement. So I'll definitely sidebar to get more insights on that. For things I've not mentioned, most of the things, like I said, what we are trying to do the onboarding, but now I think it's going to be bigger, more comprehensive. At least for now, we've done at least our triannual evaluations because we do those every month. So those are all the things that we do online. You go on, upload your deliverables, your supervisor goes through, then you sit and discuss during evaluations, and this is already, so you can also see who has done this and who has not. So it goes a long way. She mentioned something about internal communications. Yes, we also have a different arm that does the internal comms. And we realized that one of our problems was no engagement from whatever you post. You post your Chilong message and no one reacts. So you're there. Have people seen? Have they not? Was the communication effective? Was it not? So we decided to look at it. Imagine I'm scrolling. Maybe let us put this information in less than 30 seconds because attention spans keep changing. People don't like to read, but they like to watch videos. This is catchy. We get someone like a transformer who will come and we tell them, understand this, say it in your way. Then whatever way you dramatize it, whatever way you do it, we put it there. That way, now people, they'll either comment laughing at the person or sharing, but you know that, oh, at least my message has reached somewhere. It's not a passage where you just go to info and you're like, 200 people have seen, but no comment. So we're trying to find more ways where the communication we send out is more engaging and easy for people to see, and it's interesting for someone to watch. And if someone comments, how did this one do? Then those who just scroll will be like, what was this video about? Let me check it out. They get us more engagement when it comes to the communications that we put out. Then also in growing our engagement, we've tried to do lots of quiz nights, game nights, teams competing. We have a cafeteria upstairs. For quiz nights, we target questions around next media. That way, people are learning more about things that they wouldn't know, the policies hidden in there, but like in a fun way. It's not just quiz night of current affairs. We try and curate the questions to what? Next media. At least we have a segment that's purely focused on next media, our policies, the things that we do, and the pillars we stand for. It helps us put out there or transform to learn in a fun way.
It's interesting to hear how purpose can shape how people work in an organization. Why do you think that is really important? Why should all your staff be on the same page in terms of knowing what they need to do?
When it comes to purpose, one thing learned is that a person is not going to buy into your organization's purpose if they don't understand what their purpose is. Like I said from the beginning, if I am Lilian, I am a cleaner, I am at the front desk. What is my contribution to this transformation? How do I feed into this vision that this organization is trying? So these are questions that we keep challenging our transformers with, like, in your position right now, think about it. What is your contribution? You're not a Samson, you're not a canary, you're not on TV, but how do you contribute to this transformation? That has gone a long way to help people reflect and know, like, you know what? I am here to make sure that everyone that comes into this building has the best experience. I'm cleaning this place to make sure it is clean side. I'm a driver, I'm driving to make sure we get the right information to inform this country. So it's that understanding that we're trying to get everyone to understand their contribution to the transformation journey.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Ms. Lilian.
Thank you for sharing. I think I had an opportunity to learn about the different ways Lilian has also helped her organization in terms of creating the energy, the vibe, so that the employees are able to deliver over and above the desired business results. I wanted to share the other thing we have done to create energy and vibration. We introduced a tool called Ask HR. Ask HR is anonymous, so people can be able to speak out at any time. Usually people are disgruntled because if they don't have an avenue to speak up, then it becomes difficult. They fear to talk to their line managers. It's a very urgent issue or painful issue and they can't speak out. We designed a tool called Ask HR. First, it was like a Google form, but certainly anonymous. But then we're even able to transfer that and put it into Hilda. So Hilda still hosts the Ask HR platform where people can ask all the silly, all the strategic, whatever it is, just ask and HR will answer. And when we did this, we saw a lot of energy come back and responses. When we see the questions you answer, we publish them. We're publishing them weekly, then monthly, because people have lots of questions and starting up some initiatives. The questions reduce because you're answering and sharing information. That's one of the things that I wanted to share that we have done that has created energy. And of course, using these everyday tools, we have an organizational WhatsApp platform. And every new person is loaded onto it. Apart from sharing the emails on the general communication email, we know that people like to use WhatsApp a lot. So we also post the messages there and people are able to respond. We have rules, but you're able to manage the interaction back and forth and get the messages and in everybody's palm to be able to get them to feel and understand what is it that you're trying to drive at. So I think going forward, organizations, like we started out, need to pay attention to the transitioning trends. What is it that is going to deliver results for the business so that we can certainly engage and improve in those areas, other than holding up to status quo, which could be certainly archaic or really not meaningful or purpose-driven for the kind of employees that we have. Most recently, I am starting out on a journey to study green HR. I'm very excited to see how this is going to get into the next trend of HR and what is it that we must do as HR professionals to deliver business results and add value for employers we serve. Thank you.
That was brilliant. Betty? As Betty comes in, prepare your final thoughts, your last word to that entrepreneur, that listener looking to put systems into place, help them engage their staff. Think of that one takeaway to an HR leader, a team manager, it could be a creative professional. Let's help them spark the ideas that they can implement immediately.
So about Ms. Lilian's point on how they adapted their internal comms, you'll find that in most organizations, their WhatsApp platforms are the most engaging compared to email newsletters. People send memes, joke with each other. It creates a good company culture and a nice way for employees to engage and become friends. Most people are usually on their phones compared to emails. I'll just talk about the Ask HR tool that Irene mentioned. I think a lot of employees don't feel they can be transparent, giving them an open platform to voice concerns or ideas that they can put forward, and also feeling that sense of anonymity where they can say whatever they feel without repercussions of being noticed. Yes, those are the key takeaways I got from that.
Wonderful. Okay, let's have a round of takeaways and call this an evening. We'll start with you, Lilian.
My closing remarks would be that for any organization that's trying to implement gamification within the workplace, the goal or the plan is to start small, begin with one area, if it's onboarding, if it is training, and build momentum into the different areas. Understand that gamification and AI isn't just a trend. I think it's a tool we can leverage to humanize work, not to take our jobs. Like everyone has been saying that AI is going to take our jobs. AI and gamification is just here to humanize our jobs, because gone are the days of industrialization where you had to have one skill and focus on that. AI and gamification humanize work and take away the monotony. When you're engaging people, think about areas in your organization that are hard to engage, then leverage those tools. It gives you better results to find solutions to pain points. Instead of trying to gamify what's already working, start with the areas that are your pain points for you to understand that this is where I need to try something different. Yes. Thank you very
much. Miss Irene?
I think for me, the key highlight for anybody who wants to start out, like Lilian said, I would like to emphasize, start with what is in your hands. Don't go stretching out things that are far-fetched, but start with what is in your hands, because then that is where the magic starts. And don't complain, procrastinate, start wishing that you had things. Some things are as easy as trying out with Google Sheets, flyers, a simple game, a poll. There's simple things you can start with without necessarily looking at what the total cost and budgets are going to be. So people need to start with what is it that they have in their hands so that they can thrive and certainly excel. And the other point for me is that as you get along, try to measure your before and after so that you're able to trace your steps and your journey. That way you get fulfillment that at least your contribution certainly matters. Sometimes we forget where we've come from, feel drained, but you could be doing a very good job, but just because you're not measuring, you're not looking at the footsteps that you've already taken, you forget and then get drowned into all the issues and all that is happening. Start with what you have, then measure your progress with clear targets on where you want to land.
Wonderful. I'm in awe with these insights. I have no doubt someone listening will take out one thing they'll be able to implement in their organizations. Miss Betty?
For me, my takeaway is communications is meant to be retained. When people are communicating, whether it's internal communications or HR leads, they forget it's not just about sending newsletters. You want people to retain the information. You want the information to be memorable, and also you want there to be action behind what you're communicating. Just communicate in a way that will create engagement, where employees will actually be motivated to respond to what you're telling them and boost participation. This will enhance company culture. Gamification is the best way to do this.
Wonderful. It has been a wonderful panel of speakers, incredible, with a lot of expertise. Thank you for sparing time to share insights. For any creative team leader or HR leader, thank you so much for sparking their imagination and also giving them some practical insights that they can actually implement. Thank you. Until next time, keep your people at the heart of it all. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you very much, Aggie. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.